And we're live. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm still new at this. I'm supposed to drop Russ out first and introduce him. So everybody's like, wow.
Like a proper program on the telly.
So I'm sorry. We're both noobs at this. This is my lovely wife from Poland, Słaba. She speaks no English. Well, a little bit of English. Let's see who's in the. Oh God, where's the comments? Nobody. I don't know if anybody's watching.
Nobody's here yet. No, but there might be people watching. You don't know.
Yeah. No, we don't want to say hi. If you're out there, say hi. Let me know that you're here. The idea of the show is to do a quick campaign feature. Jake.
Jake. How you doing, Jake?
How you doing, mate? Good to see you. The idea is just to do a short run through of a campaign to let people know what it's about, and we ask some, and especially with campaigns like Russ's, where he's had a previous book, we want to ask some questions about it and get a little bit more in depth to see what it's all about. Look, Steve Shears, hey, another Bristolian.
Right, Steve.
You're right. You're right there.
Me, yeah, just getting all the tissues out. Yeah, no, my wife came in earlier and said I've got some chili sauce, and she just put it to one side and said just leave it there for a minute, and it got left there, and now the cat's chewed it. That's just wonderful. That's really great. And so now there's chili sauce on my desk because the cat fucking chewed it.
Bernie asked tomorrow.
Get off.
How you doing, mate?
I had 24 eyes.
Right. Okay. So let's get you a campaign up. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you on making a really cool book.
Thank you.
The production values on this is making me think twice about my own production values. I love the matte texture on these pages.
The printing was really good. I was really pleased with the printing. I got Mick Sam to print the books, and I really wanted to have something that was similar to the old 90s one-shots. So they weren't newsprint, but they were uncoated paper. They were like thicker than newsprint, and they had a nice matte cover. And I just wanted to reproduce that because that's the stuff I love. So
I'd say that you've come quite close on that, and that's it. I think I made a mistake on getting glossy pages. Looking at this, it's just it's very nice reproduction. The colors come through nicely. But that was always my fear about uncoated paper, that it's not going to contain color quite as well. But this does an excellent job of that. And as you say, it's got the strong Silver Age vibe, and it's just the art's great on this one. It's
thank you.
Really, really cool. No, excellent. Right, let's get the campaign up. Let's see. I've got it up here. Let's share this. Share screen. Share tab. Share audio. Here we go. So let's have a look. Okay, so you got don't know what this is in dollars, but it's 5,771 Great British pounds, 134 backers, and you got 20 days left.
That's the one.
And let's see how you've done quite well on this. So this is going to be 100 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect bound, like the previous. It's pretty much like the old comic, right? So it is.
It's the same as the first one. Yeah.
Same format.
Yep. There's just it'll feel very similar thickness wise because the first one was 96 pages. It just wasn't all story. This time you've got 66 pages of the second book story, and then you've got 40 pages or thereabouts of lore, which is scripted. So it's not just here's a data file about this character. There's a scripted diatribe to it, plus a 7-page backup story about war.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of bang this time.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it wasn't last time. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really nice length for it too. They say that you can have a 200-page comic that feels fleeting. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's a sense of space that you get, a sense of time. I think that you've chosen your length of comic quite well, and you use it quite well to tell the story that you want to tell. It's got a definite beginning, middle, and end, and that's really nice. I'm looking at this cover. This is really nice.
This is wraparound again, so all 3 books are designed in exactly the same way on the front and back covers, so that they'll end up being a 3-book arc, and you can put them on the shelf as a 3-book arc. So they'll be printed exactly. So as much as it would be nice to say, if I did well, put spot cover on, spot print on one of the covers, or say, I'm not going to do that. So that'll never be part of a stretch goal or anything like that. I want them all to be the same as far as their print is concerned, so that they sit as a set. Yeah,
that's good thinking. That is good thinking. Yeah, no, that's really good. And you get the same. Well, it's the same logo, and I see. We'll get into the story in a bit, because the first one is called Keystone, and this one's called Techstone. But let's run through some of these pages. This page is just gorgeous. That's something I wasn't quite clear on. Do you do traditional or digital? Because
it's a mix.
Because it's getting to the point now. I mean, I used to be able to really tell quite quickly what is what. Somebody would put something in front of me and say, "Oh, that's digital," or that's traditional. But it's getting harder and harder. So, what's your process? How do you do this?
Well, all but 5 pages in the first book, everything was completely digital. But in this book, I pencil digitally, then I print out with blue line, and I do the whole thing with brush pens. Then I scan it back in, and it's done in Clip Studio color.
I see. Okay.
But I do a very simple color, so it's effectively the flats. I don't know how much how au fait or aware you are of how comic books work as far as the coloring system, but you get a flatter to do the flats, and the colors don't necessarily have to be the final colors. They're just like a partition, so that the colorist can go in and wave the wand and get sections to do whatever they need to do. The difference with this is more like sort of 70s 80s colors, where it's just one step up from having one single color for whatever you're doing. So it's base colors. So all the flats are the base colors. They're the colors they should be, at least when I'm finished with them. And then on top of that, so I use a brush for the electric effect. So I'll put maybe one single effect in, but everything else is just like blocks of colors. And then over the whole thing, I'll put a layer of shade, a layer of lighting, and then a layer of highlights, and that's it.
Yeah, so you'll have your what's it called again? It's been such a long time since I've colored things digitally, because I'm a bloody black and white guy. But you've got your it's a dodge layer, and then you'll have a multiply layer, for the shadows, and a dodge or screen layer for the highlights.
Yeah. In fact, I don't even do multiplier and dodge. I just do overlays with a percentage. So the base colors are what they are. There's a multiplier layer for the inks, and then I just do a percentage down over the colors, so that the inks are on the top. And that's all I do with it.
This is I really love this. You're really good at spotting blacks, and designing, just figuring out where things have to be, where you've got lights and dark areas, and playing with contrast to make things pop.
Thanks.
This is a good example of that. I like that.
Yeah, I tend to stay away from. I've started to put a little bit more shading into my work, as in sort of cross hatching and that kind of thing. But definitely for these 3 books, I don't want to put too much of that in. I want them to look a certain way. The other comic book stuff that I'm doing at the moment for other clients, that's got a little bit more texture in it. Because of the nature of the. Sorry,
I've noticed it here on the cover, like over there.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've put a little bit of that into this book. There's a little bit because I've got this meta thing going on where is kind of quite Kirby in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go sort of more into the late 70s, 80s with this. Yeah, Buscema, and then on into Stalin. So I wanted to give it that kind of a vibe in the second book, and in the third book it might go a little bit further. But when I draw for other people, I put a lot more, cross action in and that kind of stuff, depending on the client, depending on what they want. But for these books, I wanted kind of quite a pure look to it.
No, I don't want to block the user. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out these. It's show. Here we go. Press show. There we go. Jake. I think so too. Actually,
thank you.
It pops more for me than the first cover.
The second cover is obviously a sort of a redo of the first cover, because it's got the same thing. There's except this time Chrissy's with D, and they're against this horde that's obviously slightly different and changed, which is part of the story. But the third book may well have a very different cover. It will still be wraparound. It will still be set within the same design parameters, but it might just go something a little bit different.
Right. Anne asks, do you use a color script? What's that?
I presume it's some kind of programmable script for something like Photoshop. I used to script stuff in Photoshop, but that was a long time ago in a completely different version in another life. I wouldn't know how to do that now.
Okay, I thought it was maybe it had something to do with the color, with color choices. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just the color's really quite simple. Once the flats are done, it's a very quick job. I mean, I can, once the flats are done, even with me changing the colors because the flats aren't done exactly the way that I want them to, because obviously I've had other people do the flats for me. I can do 5 or 6 pages in a day. I mean, they don't. They're not mega technical, I try to keep them as simple as possible, because that's the way I wanted the book to look.
But there's a beauty in simplicity. That's what I don't like about a lot of new comics. They look plastic because they're over rendered in color.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of over rendering done. Also, when I when I mix it a little bit with photography or with imagery, that it stands out. So I'd look at someone like Steranko for that. Obviously Kirby did it before Steranko, but the way they used to lay down photocopies of photographs into the artwork, I like that. I like doing star field shots and then putting a filter over them to make them sort of graduated. So all that kind of stuff.
Sweet. Oh yes, I saw ink spots colored one of these. Did you drew this ink spots?
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, that's the pencils to the cover of issue 2, because this is being serialized via Arrow Comics next year, and that's issue 2. So I penciled that up. Well, they reached out to me. I obviously go on to Indie Vault quite a lot. I know the guys over there, Varian and Eric and Brandy and what have you, Daphne, and they were, Liberty Entertainment were looking to distribute more books, and Randy got in touch with me and said, "I really loved my book. Would I be interested in serializing it with them and through Liberty Entertainment?" And I said, "Well, yeah, sounds like a good idea." So we went ahead and did it. So I've got the first issue. I think they're on their way now, actually. But they're going back for another reprint, so they'll never be the same again. But the actual series should start in the new year, and so I'll effectively have 6 issues, and then once the third book is done, I'll have 9 issues. So, and we'll see where it goes. Yeah, no, that's cool. I see. Anne says, no. An idea of how you will lay out your colors per scene. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like having certain moods and certain scenes, and Oh, I see.
color palette like that. Yeah.
No, I don't have a color palette. I've got obviously colors specific for particular characters and scenes or whatever, but I don't necessarily have a color palette. I wanted to go for bright retro colors, so I suppose you could say that's a color palette. I'm not particularly au fait with color theory or anything like that. If for instance, perfect example of color theory and good color palette would be that ink spots piece there. I mean, look at the way that looks, and he's obviously chosen his colors very, very specifically and very cleverly.
Cool
but yeah, very, very, very good. But that's not what I was going for in the book at all. I was going for a garish, early comic book vibe, and that's hopefully that's what I got. So,
and the good Preston's cover.
Oh yeah, a Preston Acevedo. It's a backer print. So effectively, if you back the first campaign and you come and back the second campaign, I know who you are. I've got your name. I know where you live, and I'll pop a Preston Acevedo print in for free.
I'll send the Reaper around to your house.
I'll send the Reaper around. Yeah.
Great. I'm getting a Reaper sketch. That's awesome. Or at least no, it's cool. It's cool. It's good for
it's a lovely piece of art as well. I mean, both those pieces are gorgeous pieces of art. So I can't wait to see them printed up on the prints.
That's awesome. Let's talk about before we get into the perks. What I wanted to talk about was I've got a few questions. So what's with me? So you've got in the book you've got 4 characters that start out at the beginning of creation they're there to usher in a new era, and they are called death, famine, pestilence, and war, and they are called the 4 pillars of creation, and they serve the supreme, which is almost like a god figure, and they oppose another figure called Satana. So you've got that biblical sort of reference going there. But is it almost like an irony that the ushers in, the ones who are the basis for this new life, would they've got such ironic names?
Yes, yeah, there is an irony in there. I wanted death in particular to be the hero, which you wouldn't normally associate with death. So pretty much all the pop culture references, even when they're a little bit strange, like Discworld, I like the way Terry Pratchett had death. Death was a bit more of a good guy in that, but he wasn't a hero, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to mix the superhero. I wanted to get like the pantheon of gods, like Thor, Asgard, add in a whole bunch of cosmology, like Galactus and Fantastic Four, the Eternals, all that kind of stuff. Mix it all together and pop D out as this hero. But he's again in the true classic aspect of a hero. He doesn't realize he is, and he isn't looking for it. And he's actually become very stoic, and he's not really connecting with the human souls that are going through. He's just doing his job, and that's where Chrissy comes in. So their adventure is also about his connection with a human soul and him being softened. And
it's like the Jerry and Lewis is the straight man and the comedian sort of.
Yeah. There is
comedian.
Yeah, there is a bit of there's intentionally some humor in it. I didn't want it to be too dry, and I didn't want it to take itself too seriously either. The whole concept was it was just to be fun.
Yeah, I get. Tell me, is Howard the Duck an inspiration?
I do love Howard the Duck. Right. I don't know that it's inspired this book, but there are aspects to it. I suppose the humor, the fact that Howard the Duck got into these really quite cosmic and troublesome situations, and yet it was always just a duck. And there was the humor just in seeing him as a duck with the cigar hanging out of his mouth, doing the job in the book. So I suppose that all feeds in. But you are everything that you've read and done and seen and been. You're a result of your whole life up to this point. And as much as I can pick out people like Buscema and Kirby and what have you, then there's Ditko in there, there's Jim Lee in there, there's Stanley in there, there's all kinds of things. There's Jim Colon, there's a whole bunch of artists that I probably can't remember the names of that have flicked past my eyes as I've wandered into comics, and have all sort of ended up being repurposed in the way that I view my own work.
That's it. Some of these influences are just get absorbed by osmosis. True. Now, the reason I think the Howard the Duck is because of the cosmic aspect and the interdimensionality of it, and maybe the movie too. There's like in the movie, it was also about this big deadly force.
That was crazy.
I'm gonna rewatch it. I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
I think from the cosmic perspective, I think you're probably looking more toward Silver Surfer, Galactus, the Eternals, the Jim Starlin stuff with Adam Warlock and Thanos, that kind of typical Marvel cosmic stuff of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that's definitely a strong vibe of that I get going through here. And yeah, it works. I thought, you build your tension and you've got your resolution, and then you entice people with the follow-up, with what's possibly going to come. I'm not going to give away too much of what happens in the story, but I like how Chrissy evolves and changes and becomes parts of his world. You ever had a question about Chrissy, didn't you?
Yeah, why has she got a Polish surname?
That was Rick. Rick just came up with it. He had a really good backstory for her, and he came up for it. And I don't know. After that, I really couldn't tell you. It's a good name, though.
Sure, yeah, it's Polish. It's great.
Yeah.
Reads the whole book. Stuff. Hey,
please our European friends. Yeah, it's just he came up with it, and it stuck. He did a grand job, actually, because obviously I'd written the whole thing, I'd set the whole thing out, I'd even lettered it all the way through, and I asked him if he wanted to take a look because he was interested, because we'd worked together on other things prior to this Doctor Who and what have you. And he said, I've got a few things I'd like to suggest. I said, yeah, off you go. So he went through, and we ended up, he ended up just being part of it. And I brought him on as kind of like a dialogue writer, but also he came up with some plot points that amended what I'd done slightly. And then with the second book, he went full on into the plot. So I kind of told him the arc of where I want the 3 books to go, and then specifically what I was looking for in the second book. And he put a plot together and came back with it. So it was kind of like a writer's room, and he came back with it. And then so for instance, the first 22 pages, I drew out the first 22 pages and sent them back to him, and he scripted them. And then I had them lettered. So I'm on to the second 22 pages at the moment. So, a few weeks' time, he'll be getting all those, and he'll put the script to them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So because that was my next question. Is he going to be involved in the next book? You've answered that. So I've gone through the technical stuff, inspiration. Now I want to know if somebody still wanted to buy the first book. And well, they're not going to wait and they didn't want to wait until next year. They saw the show, they're like, oh, I gotta have this as soon as possible. Would they be able to buy that from you? Have you got an online store or something for overprint?
No, I don't have an online store for the books, because especially now they're going to be with Arrow. I'm basically whatever I print for the backers is what there is. I'm not overprinting. I'm not overprinting by a lot. So I overprinted by the first one, and you can see that because there's a backup tier in the campaign where people can pick up book 1 and book 2.
Right. Yeah.
And I will be doing that for the third campaign. Although how many I'll be able to offer as book 1, 2, and 3, I'm not 100% sure at the moment. it could well be up to 50, but I won't be selling the book outside of that just yet. There may come a point where I might have some pre-loved books, so basically seconds where there's something not quite on the cover, and I might be able to provide those. But I think probably what I want to do is leave it, have the 3 campaigns, and then after that, if people want them, they can get them via the Arrow Comics. Something that I'd really like to do is do a compendium of all 3 books and have it done in black and white. I'd really like to do that, but that comes down to whether people want it or not. So I'm going to have to find out if that's a thing, if that's something that people want.
Yeah, I mean, you grew up in the UK, like, I think most of the comics there are black and white. It's just part of the DNA. I think most of the comics I have are black and white.
Well, I'd like
still,
No, I love color comics as well, but there is something. I think maybe it's because we're both, sequential artists, because we do that. We have a connection with that page before it's colored. But I've got quite a few Essentials books from Marvel, and they're all black and white. And I love them because they're black and white. And I bought some artisan books as well. I got a Kirby one and I'm waiting on a Buscema one. There's a Simonson one as well from his Thor run, which I'd quite like to get. I got a Spider-Man remitter. We were talking about influences earlier. Remitter is an influence on me. None of my work looks anything like Remitter's work, but I know that it has an influence on me. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, his storytelling, I think, has got an influence. That's the thing. It's something that he passed on to his son. I think It's the weird thing when people say Romita Senior and Junior are so different, but if you look at the storytelling, it's pretty much That's the heritage.
Yeah, that's the thing that does allow me to look at Romita Junior's work. I don't actually like the style. It's not my thing. I don't enjoy it. But I do have some of his books, especially a Daredevil run, because the storytelling is really, really good. And you're right, that must be what he gets from his dad.
Yeah. Well, he was apparently on holidays. They used to drill storytelling into their kids quite
Right,
from an early age. Right, let's go through the actual campaign and let's go through the tiers and let's see what, because I didn't want to scroll down too far, but here we are. So the perks. How should we do this? Should we go on the right-hand side? Okay, so here's the. Okay, so right from the top, this is your featured tier. Tell me about your featured tier.
Yeah, that's the book 1 and book 2. So there's that's done well actually. There's 39 of those. That's excellent. And there's another 35 left, 36 left. It's pretty simple. You can get book 1, book 2, save on a post, and there's you save a little bit on the cover price as well. This book, the second book, I've taken the price down, so it's 10% less than it was last time, and God help me, my postage fees have stayed the same. So hopefully that goes to help, because obviously there's some European destinations that have to pay a little bit of VAT.
Yeah.
So I can't cover all those different VATs, but what I can do is keep the book as low a cost as possible, which I've tried to do.
And this is just the book.
Just the book, straight up. Yeah.
I was gonna. Yeah. Well, we'll go through the last campaign stuff, and I can just show what you did last time, and we have a point of comparison. And this is a book 2 and Arrow issue 1. Oh, I see. Okay, so this will be the serialized version that's going to be released in Arrow Comics plus the second book. Okay.
Yeah, so you get the second book and you get the first issue of the Arrow serialization, and you actually get it for less than you'd pay for it in a comic book shop. So there you go, and you get it signed. So there you go.
Nice.
And there ain't going to be many of them.
There we go. That's what we're here for. To be there in the beginning. When Eastman
Well,
and
that's
Lambert.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're
I
sorry
wish.
now, aren't you, that you didn't buy that silly Turtles book right in the beginning? You thought it was, yeah. Let's see. Okay, so the other one is book 2 and Law pinup set. Okay, 3. So these are the prints that we see when we scroll over.
That's right. You
Yeah,
see 2 of them. Yeah. So you see
right.
that one and that one.
This is not a print. This one with
No,
war.
that's not a print. No, it is in the book, but it's not a print.
Okay.
No.
I see. Okay, so I see those 2. Okay, I see them
Yeah.
over there. Right. Okay. That's cool. People love prints. And cosmic. Okay, so so these are specifically black and white.
Yes. Yeah. They're black and whites. They're work that I'd done for Draw the Marvel Way, which I particularly liked. So I thought I'd offer them as a print.
Awesome. Okay. Are they a bigger? Oh yeah, here are the bigger versions. Here we go. Oh,
Yeah, you can see them a little bit closer there. Yeah. So there's a Guardians of the Galaxy. There's an ice giant and Galactus and Silver Surfer.
yeah, you made for that. You know, you can see what you love over here. You know, really.
Yeah,
cool.
do what you love, and it'll show through.
Yeah, definitely. You're doing that. Yeah. And let's see. So we went up to the where were we? We were there.
The prints. There you go. Yeah.
There's black and white prints, and then there's the book 2x2. So that's to save on postage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read one, keep one.
Buy one for your grandmother for her birthday.
That's the one.
Book 2 character sketch. Okay, so tell us about the character sketch. How big is it? Is it A4?
Yeah,
for
A4. So for Americas, yeah, 210 by 297 millimeters.
I think it's 8 by 8. What was it? 8 by 11 inches. I think that's
8 3/4 by 11 or something like that. Yeah. Yes. It's magazine size. So yeah, it's just a black and white ink sketch. But how many have got those? 4, and I think somebody claimed it as an add-on as well. So there's 5 so far. And again, you know, you can, if you don't tell me what you want, then I'll just randomly pick one of the characters from the book. But I'm more than happy to draw anything anybody wants. So
take advantage of that. You know, take advantage of that. Everybody listening, because I mean, on these auction streams, you would pay top dollar for a bespoke piece of artwork. Here you can get it right on the campaign, and you can tell him what you want him to draw. You know,
and you get a book with it as well.
And you get a book with this. Winning. What is this? Book 2 plus original page art. Oh right, I see. And because you're doing it original this time, you can offer this perk this time. So it's going to be blue line.
Yes.
Yeah. I must ask. We must speak regarding production of printing onto blue line. Like, you know, how do you do that onto? So you've got your heavy Bristol board that you put through a printer to get the blue.
I use 180 GSM Bristol board because the 240 or whatever it is, that just gets stuck up in the printer doesn't like it. So I use a slightly lighter weight of board, but again, it doesn't make any difference because it still holds the ink in exactly the same way. And I use a Brother printer. I've got a Brother A3 printer and scanner, and that prints them out really nicely. I've got custom grids so that I can maximize the area on the A3 paper. So for our American friends, A3 is 297 by 420, which is like the 11.5 or by 17 or whatever it is they use for the comic book pages in the States. And hi, Stat. And so it's I use that paper, and I've got a grid that goes almost to the edge. So it's great for scanning back in, and you know it works really well. So it doesn't have all the paraphernalia of all the, you know, like what page this is and all the rest of it along the top and the bottom, but it does maximize the space on the page for the art.
Yeah, you don't need that stuff. I mean,
no. Well, I was looking around, like I've got A3s printed out here of like old Marvel artwork. and you can see that it goes right to the edge. You can see it's just like they've got like some you know what page it is and stuff up the top, but and the only reason there's even any space around this is because I've printed it on a printer that says there's a gap, you know, there's like a margin around the edge, so it fills up the whole page. You know, and so they didn't print their boards out then. I think that's all written up. And then my artwork goes all the way to. Whoop.
Didn't mean to do that.
You can see my artwork goes all the way to the edge there. So there's the trim marks, so you can see where the edge of the paper is, or where the edge of the final print is. So I get quite a bit on the page.
Very good. Very cool. This is a professional approach to making comic books, folks. Not like me.
Well, I've been doing it for a while now, so I would hope I know what I'm doing.
Is this the original cover? Is this the original art to the arrow first arrow cover?
That's right. Yeah, so that's the original art for the arrow cover for issue 1. And obviously in the next campaign there will be others, because obviously there'll be other issues printed by then. And I still have the cover art for those, so you'll be able to pick up some more in the next campaign. And then below there, you've got the actual artwork for the cover of the graphic novel, and that's like 1.5 A3s, because it's a wraparound cover, but it doesn't wrap all the way around because of the design of the cover. So it's 1.5, but it's quite all sort of stuck together.
Yeah, it's like let me show. How do I can do that? Yeah, so with the previous book, here's the cover, and then it comes almost like Ninja Turtles. The first Ninja Turtles, where it stops halfway through. It's a nice effect. I like that. God, don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know. I want to go back. There we go.
Yeah, one of them will do it.
Just keep pressing the buttons.
That's it. I didn't go any further than that. Everything that you see there, you can get as an add-on in one form or another. So,
and these are the stretch. Let's go into your stretch goals.
Yeah, the stretch goals. I wanted to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I really wanted to do it for backers, a back account rather than financial. I tried to encourage more people to buy, or more people to back, should I say. So 185, which is where the first campaign stopped, at 184, and then it went into in demand. So in demand went to 271. So what I'd want to do is I'd want to beat the first, improve on the first campaign by getting 185, and that will get you the first magnet. And if I can improve on the first campaigns in demand, then I could get to 300 maybe and get the fourth magnet as well.
I see how that works. All right, yeah, here it is at the bottom. So 185, 220, 215, 300 backers.
Yeah.
And let me show people what that looks like. What?
Yeah, so he's coming back again, but he's in a square magnet now. The idea being is you can put all four together in one big square magnet.
On your fridge.
On your fridge.
Death on your plate, death on your fridge.
Yep. Yum, yum.
Let's just say experiment, try stuff out, and don't be afraid of screwing up. That's my motto.
Yeah.
It's not really a screw up. You learn not to do it again.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, some people have to hit their heads at least 4 times. Brilliant. Right, let's see. Done that. One step further. Notes about our partner Arrow Comics. We've spoken about that.
Mm-hmm.
And how things are going to work with distribution in the US of A. Follow the production. I see. Follow the production on your YouTube channel, guys.
Fine, yeah. I'm not on. I'm not on tonight because I've got too much work to do. So I've got some paperwork to do tonight, so I can't stream. But I'll be back next week, and I've got some more pencils to be getting on with for Only Death Can Save Us. So people can jump in again then, and I'll drink some more whiskey. That's what I normally do.
Good combination. Yeah, so I'll put a link to this as well in the description of the video.
Okay.
I've got your Twitter handle and your campaign in the video. It's in the comments, not the comments. It's in the video description for anybody who wants to back and follow Russ on Twitter. Mine's there too, and my campaign. And of course, share, subscribe to this channel, and ring the bell for notifications so that you don't miss. We're planning on doing this every week and seeing where it takes us. It's our first stream together as Proper Comics, and I think it's all right. We'll see.
Get yourself a Proper Comics intro.
Yeah, that's it. All the advice that I've seen is basically just get started. Because nothing's ever going to be perfect.
Yes.
Get started. And
yeah. Exactly. Just get on there and say hello to everyone and be available and be transparent. And that's the way you connect with people. It takes a long time. I mean, like YouTube channels take years to grow. Years. But if you don't start, it'll never happen.
Yeah. It's warts and all at this point. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not reviewing comics in my crutch. So I should try that though. That was a good.
Yes,
it really does work for some people. Okay, now a word from our sponsor. Let's see. Stop sharing that screen. Start sharing. Sorry, I'm talking to myself like this, but I really haven't got the hang of this. Here we go. So, for anybody who hasn't checked out our campaign yet, it is Merry Boys Beefheads. We've got 17 days left. We are currently at 198 backers. We need 2 more to hit 200. My OCD is rattling. 2 more backers. In actual fact, we've got about 200 backers already because people have bought through PayPal.
Oh, right. Okay.
But still, it's just for posterity. I'd like that to be at least 200.
200. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. And like you, I mean, I think the last campaign closed out at 257. So yeah. Who knows? I don't know if we'll get.
I think you could hit 300. I think. Yeah. It's. I mean, I really like the look of the book. Your first book was great. The 2 together, loved it. Just magical art. Really, really magical.
Thank you. We try, we're just fumbling around, like you say, trying to make something work.
Now it's got a real. I mean, I know you're not British, but it's got an incredibly British vibe to it. It reminds me of. I was trying to explain it to someone. I was kind of saying, if you sort of come somewhere between Mad Magazine and 2000 AD in the early 80s. That's the way it made me feel while I was reading it and enjoying it. The artwork's gorgeous, and it had that vibe. That's
perfect because that's the stuff.
Yeah, the fuck you vibe.
That's yeah. That's it. The fuck you vibe is very quickly going out of out of vogue, but we plan to bring it back.
Yeah, who'd have thought that old farts like us would have ended up being the new punk?
I can't even grow a mohawk. That's the sad.
No. But yeah, it does seem a little bit. What if you don't want to do a YouTube channel? Then don't do one. Don't feel forced into anything. But there are lots of multiple channels out there as far as social media is concerned. Get yourself out there. At least show your work. Get it out there.
The most successful crowdfunders in Britain, are actually in my hometown, and they're the ones they're the two brothers who do that How to Think While You Draw books. So it is based. They don't have a YouTube channel. They've got Instagram and it's Twitter. People follow those Twitter self-help little episodic snippets of information, and they've got, I don't know, 500,000 followers or something. They raised £500,000 per book, and they've had several books already. They're extremely successful at doing that. And so you don't have to do it like this. There are other ways and means. I think the key is to be useful. I think the key is to be appealing, because I think my comic book is awesome. Russ thinks his comic book is awesome, but it's almost like people don't come to look at our comic books. Really, they come to find things out and get to know us. And it's almost the angle would be, you get to know Russ, you get to know me, you get to know Monica, and it's almost like the comic is the T-shirt that you buy on your way out of the museum. So there you go, a bit of wisdom. You don't have to do it. In fact, I don't think I'm cut out for YouTubing. We're going to try it and see what happens, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Let's see, what else is here? CHUBB is, what is that? I don't know how Ethan does it with all these. I've only got a few messages. He's got thousands. CHUBB's free own a line in a Polish bear in his backyard. Okay. Well, that I keep telling
pull over in the shed.
When I first met her, I told her about the pet rhino that I used to have in South Africa, and it took her a good long while to figure out I was talking a heap of crap.
I was like, really? Wow!
Yeah. And I swung when I went to work, I had to swing on a vine, with a car. Social media is difficult networking. Yeah, let's see how. More
Very
people
good.
than that know who you are, Stat.
Yeah, I know you feel, Stat.
Yeah, it is.
But Marigo is saying that Twitter is difficult because you want to pick up on the rope of so many topics unread. No, don't. Yeah. I don't talk to people on Twitter. I just don't get involved. I'm not interested. I go on Twitter to post my art, to post about my book, and I go on Twitter to see other people's art. So I follow people that, other artists, and they are not necessarily artists that I agree with politically or, socially or anything. I go there and I find their art, and if I like it, I follow them. And if I like the look of it, I retweet it. And if I like a book, I retweet the book. It's as simple as that. And I don't get involved in arguments. So, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be involved in that cesspit. You don't have to get involved with the people that want to argue and fight online. Just do art. Just do art. Be positive. Bring some positivity to it.
That's the mindset it would be good to bring back, where you can have an experience in somebody else's mindset. And then when you close the comic, that's over. You can put it one side and you can get back into your own frame of reality.
Yeah.
But that's almost impossible now. Everybody's got to be on the same ship on the way to the same port. And there's no getting there are no lifeboats. And the damn thing's going to hit an iceberg as far as I can see.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, just like I say, just be as positive as you can. Make your own stuff. Buy stuff you like. And if you don't like something, just don't buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Make more comics, read more comics.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, guys. So this is the inaugural stream. Thank you for everybody who showed up. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Lutoswava. We want to keep these relatively sweet and short and punchy. Yeah, half an hour. Whoever shot it.
South African time.
Good.
Yeah,
good luck.
Right. Okay, we're gonna sign off. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Thanks very much. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And a few seconds before it switches off, and it's really awkward. I know, it's not switching off.